Welcome to Punchlines and Punches. This is where we discuss martial arts, their sweat and effort, as well as some digs into other things. Let's dive in. Today, we're going to be exploring the career and life of Magomed Ankalaev, the current UFC Light Heavyweight CHAMPION.
Yeah.
We've got excerpts from his Wikipedia page.
Okay.
And I'm excited to see what makes him more than just a champion. You know what I mean?
It's an interesting challenge, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Because on the surface, you see the win,
Right.
the knockout,
Yeah.
the championship belt, but there's always a deeper story.
Okay. So let's start at the beginning.
Right.
From Dagestan to the octagon, as our notes say.
Okay.
Born in 1992 in Dagestan, Russia, a place known for producing amazing fighters.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it about that region that makes it such a hotbed for martial arts?
Well, in Dagestan wrestling,
Is deeply ingrained in the culture. It's almost a rite of passage for young boys. Like Ankalaev started with Greco-Roman wrestling, but then transitioned to combat sambo. Okay, have you ever heard of that? Combat sambo.
yeah.
Vaguely, but honestly, I'm not sure I could explain it. Okay, so it's a Russian martial art, and the name actually stands for self-defense without weapons.
Oh.
It combines striking, grappling throws, and even some leg locks.
Oh.
It's quite comprehensive. Well, Ankalaev excelled at it, even earning the title of Master of Sport, which is a seriously high honor. So it's almost like he was destined for MMA with all that groundwork already laid. Exactly. Yeah. His background in combat sambo gave him a really well-rounded skill set right from the start. And you can see those sambo influences throughout his fighting style,
Yeah.
the way he blends striking with takedowns,
Right.
his control on the ground. It makes those early wins even more impressive.
Yeah.
Our notes mention that he was incredibly dominant in his amateur MMA career.
Right.
Even beating two students of Fedor Emelianenko. Now, for anyone who might not know, oh yeah, Fedor's a legend in the MMA world.
Beating anyone from Emelianenko's camp is a huge accomplishment.
Right.
They're known for producing tough, well-prepared fighters. It shows that Ankalaev was already operating at an elite level even back then.
And the list of his accomplishments during this period is pretty staggering.
Yeah.
Gold at the 2013 WMMAA World Cup.
Wow.
Gold at the 2015 WMMAA World Championship. Multiple Russian championships. Whether was anyone even close to him back then?
Well, he was named the 2015 Mixed Martial Artist of Russia, which speaks volumes about his dominance.
Wow.
He clearly stood out.
Right.
But it's not just about the wins.
It's the way he won.
What do you mean?
Even in those early fights, you see the strategic mind at work.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't just brawling, he was methodical, calculating. He used his wrestling background to control opponents,
Right.
wore them down, and then capitalized on openings. It's almost like he was playing chess, not just fighting.
Oh, wow.
That's something we call fight IQ in MMA. Fight IQ, you have to explain that one because it sounds fascinating. Okay, so it's about being able to read your opponent. Okay, anticipate their moves, and make adjustments on the fly.
Right.
It's about knowing when to strike, when to grapple, when to be patient.
Okay.
It separates the good fighters from the great ones.
Right.
And Ankalaev, even as an amateur, showed flashes of that high fight IQ. So it was only a matter of time before he turned pro. Right. His professional debut came in 2014.
Okay.
And he spent a few years fighting in various organizations, steadily building his record and his reputation.
Right.
Then in 2017, he got the call from the UFC. That's the big leagues. Was he an instant success?
His UFC debut actually ended in a loss.
Really? A loss?
Yes, a last-second submission to Paul Craig.
Oh, wow.
It was a shocker because Ankalaev had been dominating the fight. But in the final seconds, Craig caught him in a triangle choke.
Wow.
It was a tough way to start his UFC career.
Okay, so how did he handle that setback?
Yeah.
Because clearly he went on to become champion. So he must have bounced back pretty quickly.
That's what's so remarkable about Ankalaev.
Yeah.
That loss didn't derail him.
Right.
It seemed to fuel him.
Okay.
What followed was a 9-fight win streak.
Wow.
The second longest in the history of the UFC Light Heavyweight division.
9 wins in a row. That incredible.
Yeah.
Was that when he started to really make a name for himself?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That streak included some impressive victories.
Yeah.
Knockouts against Marcin Prachnio, Delcha Lingiambila, Ayan Kualaba.
Okay.
And we're talking performance of the night bonuses, highlight reel finishes.
Wow.
He was putting the entire division on notice.
So from that early setback to a 9-fight win streak, it sounds like the making of a champion. Yeah. But I'm curious, how did his style evolve during this time? Right, anything change after that initial loss? Well, he became even more calculated, even more strategic. Remember that fight IQ we talked about? It became even more apparent. He started to really control the pace of his fights. Okay, so what was it like watching those fights?
Right.
Because I can imagine a fighter who's so strategic might not be the most exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Is he just grinding out wins?
Not at all.
No.
He still had those moments of explosiveness.
Right.
Those highlight reel finishes.
Yeah.
But there was a purpose behind everything he did.
Okay.
He blended his striking with his takedowns seamlessly, constantly keeping his opponents guessing.
So he wasn't just exciting, he was effective.
Exactly.
That's a dangerous combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that effectiveness is what propelled him towards a title shot.
Right.
His fight against Jan Błachowicz for the vacant light heavyweight title was a huge moment in his career.
Okay, so let's talk about that fight because I know it was pretty controversial. I think it was originally scheduled as the co-main event at UFC 282. Okay.
But when the champion Jiri Prochazka got injured, Ankalaev's fight was bumped up to the main event, and it became a title fight.
Wow.
The pressure was immense, and the fight itself, a real nail-biter.
Yeah.
It went the full 5 rounds, and both fighters had their moments.
Right.
But in the end, the judges scored it a split draw.
A draw for a title fight?
Yeah.
That's almost unheard of.
It's extremely rare, especially for a championship bout.
Right.
And it was a controversial decision, to say the least.
Oh, wow.
Many people, including 23 out of 25 media members, felt that Ankalaev had done enough to win.
I bet that was frustrating for him.
Yeah.
Coming so close to the title, only to have it slip away because of a draw.
He was visibly disappointed.
Yeah.
But he didn't let it break him. Instead, he channeled that frustration into his next fight against Johnny Walker, which he won decisively.
Another performance of the night bonus, I'm guessing.
You know it.
Wow.
He followed that up with a win over Alexander Rakic.
Okay.
Another top contender in the division.
Right. That win really solidified his claim for another title shot.
And of course, that title shot came at UFC 283 against Glover Teixeira, right?
Actually, no. Oh, he faced Alex Pereira at UFC 313.
Okay.
And this time there was no controversy. He dominated the fight from start to finish.
Wow.
Winning by unanimous decision and finally claiming the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, the first Russian to hold that title. That's a historic moment.
It is.
But, I have to admit something.
Okay.
I was so focused on his fight record, all the wins and losses, that I kind of forgot about the man behind the fighter.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the competition.
Right.
But Ankalaev's personal story is equally compelling.
Our notes mention that he lost his father when he was quite young. That must have been incredibly difficult.
Imagine losing a parent as a teenager.
Right.
It's a life-altering experience. Yeah, and for Ankalaev, it seems to have instilled in him a deep sense of resilience.
A determination to overcome any obstacle.
It also mentions that he's the oldest son in his family.
Yeah.
With 3 sisters and a brother.
Right.
I can only imagine the sense of responsibility that comes with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's not just fighting for himself, he's fighting for his family, for his legacy.
Right.
It's a powerful motivator.
And there's this interesting tidbit. He owns a coffee shop called Ankalaev.
Now that got my attention.
Yeah.
It shows that he has interests and ambitions outside of fighting.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, what's the drive behind opening a coffee shop? Is it a passion project?
Yeah.
A way to connect with his community?
Perhaps it's a way to build something lasting,
right.
A legacy that extends beyond his fighting career. It's a reminder that these athletes are multifaceted individuals with their own unique stories.
And speaking of unique stories, one thing that struck me about Ankalaev is his demeanor.
Okay.
He's not the trash-talking,
right,
in-your-face type of fighter that we often see in the UFC.
Yeah.
He's very calm.
Yeah.
Very composed.
Right.
Almost stoic.
It's a fascinating contrast to some of the other personalities in the sport.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to his mental strength. He doesn't need to engage in those mind games.
Right.
He lets his fighting do the talking.
I'm also curious about his faith. Our notes mention that he's a devout Muslim.
Yeah.
How does that influence his approach to fighting or even his life outside the octagon?
That's a great question. It's something we could delve into deeper.
Yeah. Exploring the intersection of faith and athleticism. Right. How do his beliefs shape his mindset and his discipline, his interactions with others? Right. It's a layer of his story that I'd love to uncover further.
Me too.
It's a reminder that there's always more to learn,
Right.
more to explore, even with someone who's seemingly in the public eye like a UFC champion.
Exactly. And that's what makes these deep dives so fascinating.
Yeah.
We get to peel back the layers, go beyond the headlines.
Right. And discover the person behind the persona.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah. From Dagestan to the UFC title, from combat sambo to coffee shops. But before we wrap things up, I want to ask you something.
Okay.
We've talked about Ankalaev's fighting style, his mental toughness, his personal life.
Right.
But what do you think truly sets him apart?
Yeah.
What makes him more than just a champion? For me, it's his unwavering dedication to self-improvement.
Oh,
He's constantly evolving,
right.
learning from his mistakes, refining his craft.
You're right.
Yeah.
Even after becoming champion, he's still talking about how he can improve, what he can do better.
Yeah.
That hunger, that drive is really inspiring.
And it's not just about physical skills or technique, It's about mental fortitude, emotional intelligence, and a deep understanding of oneself.
Right.
Ankalaev embodies all of those qualities.
It makes you wonder how he'll approach his reign as champion.
Will he be a dominant force defending his title time and time again? Or will he use his platform to inspire others to showcase the values he holds dear?
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? We get to watch this story unfold in real time.
Yeah.
How will he handle the pressure, the scrutiny, the inevitable challenges that come with being at the top?
I'm already thinking about the potential matchups.
Yeah.
There are some hungry contenders in the light heavyweight division who would love to take that belt from him.
Absolutely. And each fight will bring its own unique set of challenges,
Right.
forcing him to adapt and evolve.
Mhm.
It's going to be fascinating to see how his style, his strategy, maybe even his personality change as he navigates this new chapter.
It's funny. We started this deep dive trying to figure out what makes Magomed Ankalaev more than just a champion.
Right.
And I think we found the answer.
Yeah.
This is complexity.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
He's a fighter, a champion, a son, a brother, an entrepreneur, a devout Muslim.
Right.
He's a combination of so many things. And that's what makes him so compelling.
And maybe that's the lesson for all of us. There's always more to people than meets the eye.
Right.
There's always a deeper story waiting to be discovered.
And that's the power of taking a deep dive.
Right.
Of looking beyond the surface and exploring the complexities that make each individual unique.
So to our listener, if you're looking for someone to root for, someone who embodies dedication, resilience, and a quiet determination, keep your eye on Magomed Ankalaev. His story is far from over, and I have a feeling the most exciting chapters are yet to come.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll do another deep dive into his career, revisiting his journey and seeing how his legacy has unfolded.
That's an excellent idea. But for now, we'll leave you with this. Go beyond the highlights. Look beyond the wins and losses, and you'll discover the true depth of this remarkable athlete.
So it's a ciao from Punchlines and Punches. See you soon.